today's video, I will be giving you every single team's best signing or trade or whatever so far this offseason, whether it be an actual free agent, a staff signing, or a trade. Whatever they did, my favorite move of their entire offseason. But before we get in this video, let me remind you, I am doing a jersey giveaway on my channel right now. Go check it out. I will link the video of how to join the giveaway in this video as well at the very end. So stick around. Make sure you enter that giveaway. Also, don't forget to go to w.gg, check out all their products, their energy drinks, and everything else they have. Find anything you'd like and use code SHREDDER, SHRD3R, for 10% off your order on w.gg. There's also a link in the description, and let's get right into this video. So for every team, I will track using this article, and they might have something that's not listed, but I will do my best to cover everything. Let's get right into it. Going alphabetically, the Arizona Cardinals. To me, looking at all this, I don't really know that I love anything from the Cardinals offseason. Sean Murphy-Bunting is a solid signing, but you really wish they'd have done more. Justin Jones is a decent pickup, but just not incredible. To be with the amount of money that they've had, this is kind of a lackadaisical offseason, definitely for sure. Yeah, I guess I'll go with Sean Murphy-Bunting is probably their best move so far. The Atlanta Falcons. To me, I don't know what to say here because Kirk Cousins, in theory, I like. However, I really don't like that right there. 4 years, $180 million is incredibly steep for a 36-year-old quarterback who has never been incredibly amazing, though he's very good, but he's coming off of an Achilles injury. It's a rough situation. I think my favorite move here is probably trading for Rondale Moore because they needed weapons really bad. They have Drake London, they have Kyle Pitts, and they have Bijan Robinson. But in the receiving game, that's about it. You need a wide receiver 2. You need a wide receiver 3. Darnell Mooney can be a wide receiver 2. However, that's kind of steep for him. $13 million a year is pretty steep. Rondale Moore, though, you get him literally for trading Desmond Ridder. You already have Taylor Heineke, who's a very solid backup quarterback, and you're not going to use Desmond Ridder. So trade him for a receiver, and this receiver can do a lot of really, really good things. Even though he's not been the best so far, I think that's a really good move for the Falcons. Going down to Baltimore, once again, not really a very great offseason for them so far. You can say that Matty Buike is a good signing. Sure. Is $98 million for 4 years a lot? Yeah. I don't know. Derrick Henry, that's an interesting one. He's going to add a really good dynamic to a dominating run game already and be a dominating runner in a dominating run game. That's a big part of that. But I don't know that I love it because he's going into his age 30 NFL season, and that's just a bit old for a running back in this day and age. And every single running back for the Ravens for the last 3 or 4 or 5, 6 years just blows their ACL to smithereens. So why not Derrick Henry too? Especially at age 30. He'll do it too, I'm sure. If I had to go with one of them, though, I think it's probably Derrick Henry because if healthy, he can be really good and add another aspect to that offense. Going to Buffalo. Excuse me. Buffalo, they've had a rough offseason. Obviously, you can tell that they've had to release a lot of guys. Another one down here with Tre'Davious White. They've also had to release just that's it. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. They did re-sign a couple guys that I think are pretty impactful. These three all right here are all pretty good re-signings. I really think, though, Curtis Samuel is going to be the guy for me. If you're not going to get rid of Stephon Diggs, you needed to develop that receiver room farther. Because, let's be honest, Khalil Shakir is not a wide receiver 2, hardly a wide receiver 3. Curtis Samuel can be a very decent wide receiver 2. Maybe he's a wide receiver 3, but I think he can be at, a low-end wide receiver 2. But you're only paying him $8 million a year. That's a really nice number, and I guarantee you that's not all guaranteed. So, not a bad deal at all. The Carolina Panthers, and there is no debate of what the best move for them is, in my opinion. It is trading for Deontay Johnson. They give up a corner, which they are definitely, not the most needing at the corner position. Then they, do a couple pick swaps, things like that. But Deontay Johnson is the kind of receiver that's going to help Bryce Young. He may not be a Justin Jefferson. He may not be a Jamar Chase. However, if you're going to get a guy on a tier lower than that, Deontay Johnson is where you want to go. He is a very good separator, and that's what you want for a young quarterback. Someone who can create separation on their own. You don't need anything to help this guy get open. He's going to be open every single play, and that's what Bryce Young needs. Deontay Johnson to the Panthers is an absolute steal. The Chicago Bears, their best move so far is trading Justin Fields and deciding they're going to take Caleb Williams. No doubt about it, because Justin Fields is not the future of that team one way or another. He's been in the league for 3 years and done absolutely nothing. Getting rid of him, yeah, you got rid of him for nothing. You should have gotten maybe a third, maybe a fourth. That would have been a whole lot better than a sixth. He's not worth a first. He's not worth a second. I don't care what anybody says. He never was. But you get rid of a guy and open up the door for your future. You provide for your future with these guys, with this guy, not that guy, Keenan Allen. I can't highlight the right thing. You're helping your future. But most of all, you clear the way for the future by getting rid of Justin Fields, the guy who's proven nothing for your team. I don't want to hear it about, oh, he hasn't had help. He hasn't done this and that. It doesn't matter. He has terrible mechanics. He has terrible footwork. That stuff he has to improve on his own, and he has not done it. End of story. The Cincinnati Bengals. They've been a little bit quiet here. I mean, they've got some things done, but nothing here just stands out to me. I think the best I can go, Zach Moss for $4 million a year is a really good quality value take. However, I just don't know that it's super impactful. If he plays at that really good Colts level, that could be great. But if he plays at the Bills level, it's next to nothing. You're not worried about it. I think it's a decent move, but could there be better? Absolutely. The Cleveland Browns. Honestly, they're in the same spot. What have they done that's just so good? I don't know. They haven't declined necessarily, but they just haven't improved. I mean, bringing Zadarius Smith back is solid. Nothing wrong with that. Jameis Winston for $4 million isn't a bad number for a good backup. Jerry Jeudy, okay, I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy, I guess. You needed a receiver number 2 because Elijah Moore is not a receiver 2 in this league, and Jerry Jeudy's probably a lot closer to that. He can be decent. However, they paid him $20 million a year, which is just really stupid, so I don't know if that's even a good move anymore, but with the bare bones of it and the positional need, I'll take Jerry Jeudy being the best move they made so far. The Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, that's about it. That's their best move. I already said it. Yeah, that move. That one, it's really good. We're going to go all in. We're going to be all in. Jerry Jones, we're all in this year. And you've done nothing. What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
The Denver Broncos up next. They've been in a spot kind of like the Bills, where they've had to release some pretty quality players. For what reason? I don't really know. I guess money is what you want to say? They've been really disappointing. I think my favorite move so far is going to get Cody Barton. There's not really much to say about it, but you lose Josie Jewell. You have to replace him. Cody Barton is a really solid replacement at that. However, the only thing is, you could have just elevated Drew Sanders. So, as good as it is, it's also just like, where's that at? I don't know. Detroit Lions, there's some things they've done here. You could argue that maybe DJ Reader, that's a good one. You could also argue Carlton Davis. 2 massive needs, but this one right here is a new one. Kevin Zeitler, whatever. He is a really good guard from the Baltimore Ravens. That's a good replacement for, I can't remember the one he went and signed with Carolina. I'm blanking out right now, but I just, he's a guard. I really think that DJ Reader is going to be the biggest pickup here. They have major needs on that defensive side of the ball, whether it be the run game stopping on the interior. Aleem McNeil is not your best defensive tackle. I don't care if he is. He's not. Then the secondary is a big problem as well. Carlton Davis can be a very good help there, though he's not the same guy he once was. One of those two, I think to me, probably going to get DJ Reader is the biggest one. He just is going to shore up that spot really well. And I think in the draft, now they've narrowed down getting a corner. They just got to get one of the corners. Whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Get a corner. The Green Bay Packers. I don't know. They've done 2 things pretty much. They've done Josh Jacobs and they've done Xavier McKinney. And the problem is the money's a little steep for both guys because they're both higher end players. However, I don't think Xavier McKinney is worth $1 million per year less than Minkah Fitzpatrick. Just don't think so. I understand the market's resetting. Even that considered, I don't think he's on the same level or close to Minkah Fitzpatrick or, those top-end guys like him, Derwin James, Jesse Bates. I don't think he's there. I think he's a tier below. So that's kind of a lot for that kind of player. Josh Jacobs, though, if you look at the guarantees and the signing money, it is a really decent deal. I'm going to have to go with that one. Josh Jacobs to the Packers. The money's where it's at there, man. That really makes a big impact. The Houston Texans, they have done a lot this offseason. A whole lot. Re-signed all these guys. Signed all these guys. Re-signed Noah Brown. Acquired Joe Mixon. But no doubt, Danielle Hunter going to the Texans is huge. This is a team trying to capitalize on the fact that their quarterback's getting paid that much. Not really, but kind of. This is the time to win. Go win. Make it matter now. Danielle Hunter, a really good edge rusher. He's, to me, just a tier below those number one edge rushers. You know, your TJ Watt, your Myles Garrett, your Max Crosby, your Micah Parsons, then Danielle Hunter. He's not quite as elite as those guys, and the money shows it, but he is very close, and he's pretty much the best one available outside of those guys. So, go get him, put him opposite of Will Anderson Jr., and wreak havoc in the backfield on other teams. Massive need there. Now they've also narrowed down some of their needs in the draft, and that's another huge byproduct of this. Danielle Hunter signing with the Texans is an absolute steal. Not to mention, the money ain't that bad for that quality of a player. The Colts. I could go with this resigning, this resigning, this resigning, this resigning, this resigning, or this resigning. Joking, but they don't do anything else. To me, I do think it's really good they brought Michael Pittman back, and at a decent number, or you could go Kenny Moore. $10 million a year for Kenny Moore is actually really solid. I'm going to go with that. Kenny Moore for $10 million is definitely valuable. That's a really good contract. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this deal. I think Gabe Davis does two things well, and that's run a go route and run a drag route, and that's just because Josh Allen can put a ball in a bucket into his hands. He's not that good of a receiver. He's fine, but he's not great. Darby's a solid signing, but nothing crazy. Armstead's okay. That's a lot of money, though, but he's okay. I think I'm going to have to go probably with Mitch Morse. The center position last year for Jacksonville was just a rough spot for them to be in, and getting a guy who can legitimately play that center position is going to help out a ton. So, Mitch Morse, he's a very solid vet. You're only getting him for about $5.25 a year. That's a really good deal for them. Going to the Chiefs. I don't know. It's a pretty quiet offseason. You know, they get Chris Jones back. That could be a win in itself. L'Jarius Sneed, he might be traded right now. We're not too sure. Solid move to at least retain him at least for something, not let him walk free. Marquise Brown at $7 million is really solid. The only thing is, I'm going to go with that one. Marquise Brown is their best move. However, he's not a number one wide receiver. He's not a number two wide receiver, in my opinion. He's a number three. And right now, he's debatably your one. Unless you want to put Rashee Rice at your one. I just don't love that. The number value is really good. $7 million for 1 year is not bad for him. But as a wide receiver, 2.5 to 3. That would be a lot better. He's just not that good of a receiver. There's a reason that Baltimore and now Arizona have both let him walk, and it's just because he's not that good. So, moving on. The Raiders. Really, you could say Christian Wilkins. That's about the only free agency signing that matters here. However, their best move is hiring AP as their head coach. I was going to say Adrian Peterson.
I'm an idiot. You can ask anybody.
Antonio Pierce. What is my brain doing? What is happening? Antonio Pierce being their head coach is a great move. They blew it last time with Rich Bisaccia. Was he the most qualified? No. Should he have been the head coach? Yes. They do it again. They signed Josh McDaniels. But then he gets fired because he is an atrocious head coach. Hire Antonio Pierce, not Adrian Peterson. Don't do that. The Chargers offseason has also been relatively quiet. Bradley Bozeman, great. Denzel Perryman, wonderful. Hayden Hurst, big deal. To me, hiring Jim Harbaugh is huge. A culture change, a winning guy. This guy left the NFL with something around like a 49-16 overall record. That's a really solid record for a guy who was kicked out of the NFL, fired, whatever. Not really something to be upset about. He is a very good head coach in the NFL. One way or another, he is. And bringing him into a very defunct Chargers organization, this is going to help a ton. Justin Herbert gets a legitimate head coach now. Watch out. Absolutely watch out. The LA Rams. I don't know. Cam Curl, I like bringing him in. That's cool. Darius Williams, a really solid player as well. And you're only getting him at what is that, like $7 million a year, $8 million a year maybe? Jonah Jackson's solid. Kevin Dotson's solid. They've done good things, but nothing stands out of the park here. I'm going to go with Cameron Curl. Just a big needed position. A safety, someone to close out that back end of the defense. Cameron Curl's a very solid player. That money sign, depending on how much it is per year, that could change things. But if it's anything around 10 or less, I think that's a really good deal. Miami Dolphins. A massive list of what they've done this season. Let me make sure you can see all this because it is a lot. So, Miami Dolphins, that should be good. Yeah, there you go. Whew. What have they done that just stands out here? I don't know. Kendall Fuller is really solid at what is that, 8.25 a year. That's a really good deal. Bringing back Isaiah Wynn's very solid, something that many people thought they weren't going to be able to do. Jordan Brooks, though, a really good linebacker. They do end up losing Jerome Baker, but they bring in Anthony Walker and Jordan Brooks. To me, that's a really good deal. Jordan Brooks is a really solid young linebacker who could be a really cool piece to this defense for a long time. He can fit in a lot of holes that they've needed, a really good athlete sideline to sideline. A lot of things to hope for with Jordan Brooks here on a defense that hopes to push this team to a championship here soon. Minnesota, wow, they've done a lot more than I realized. They hired what am I saying? Jonah Williams is a Viking. Great. Aaron Jones, that is a steal of a deal, man. $6 million for a division rival running back coming in. That's a big time deal. Jonathan Grenard, I think he's a little overpaid. He's had maybe a year and a half of being really good. He might have deserved around $60 million. Pushing him to 76 is quite a bit. Van Ginkel's a really solid deal, though. Cashman's a solid deal. Nothing is great here, but there's a few very solid things. I think I'm going to go with Aaron Jones, though. If he's healthy, if he's able to do what he does, this guy is a playmaker in all ways. And if you're going to be able to trade up now, no, go back. That's their best deal. Trading into the first round to get the Texans pick, that's a really, really good deal. Now that I'm thinking about it, you give yourself the opportunity to have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson, and now potentially Drake May or JJ McCarthy. What a great deal you made to prepare your team for maybe success long term. That's a big deal. Success long term. Big time there. The New England Patriots, they promised fireworks and they brought it with Chukwuma Okorafor. No, I don't know. This one's really tough. Mike Onwenu, bringing him back is a big deal. That is a really big deal. He's a very good tackle, and that's good. I think Josh Uche for $3 million is honestly their steal here, simply because of that monetary value. We've seen this guy have a 12-sack season, and you got him for $3 million. I don't really need to say anything else, except for the fact that last year he had 6 sacks and just wasn't very good. You could argue because of Judon, he might be just a number 2, and that's fine. But Judon should be back next year. So having him for $3 million is a really good deal. New Orleans Saints, I mean, you've got to say Chase Young here. Not a whole lot they've done. You could argue Willie Gay, but Chase Young, as long as he can actually, put some work in for once in his life, this could be a really good deal for them. They've been needing a really solid edge for years. A legitimate edge rusher to put pressure on quarterbacks. They haven't had it. He's going to be a good guy to fill that role very quickly. The New York Giants, I don't know. Brian Burns, that's pretty solid, I guess, except you had to pay him a lot, and he's probably not worth as much as you paid him. I don't know. Devin Singletary, no, get out of here. John Runyon's actually a solid deal, not going to lie. $10 million's a little bit steep, but not too bad. Illuminor for 14 is really solid. $7 a year, that's really solid. I'm going to go with Drew Lock, though. We saw him be capable last year. Whether it is a capable backup or a capable spot starter or a capable low-end starter. Something like that is solid. Considering Daniel Jones kind of stinks to this point, it's solid. His best year is 15 touchdowns, essentially. And, yeah, that's just not good. Drew Lock can put some pressure on him. They're paying their quarterback room $45 million to be absolutely mediocre, but only paying this one $5 million to be mediocre. That's pretty solid. The New York Jets. Honestly, this Mike Williams deal is kind of solid. Tyron Smith is solid. Morgan Moses is a good deal. Tyrod Taylor's a good deal. Javon Kinlaw's a good deal. They've had a really good offseason, to be quite honest with you. Fixing up that O-line. I really like the tandem of the tackles they're bringing in. You eliminate trying to get a tackle in the draft, which is a good and a bad thing because, okay, now you have injured Tyron Smith. And maybe they still go tackle. Maybe they still go get Olu Fashanu for the depth purposes. Maybe they go get a Talise Fuaga for depth purposes. But you don't have to. You could maybe go grab Brock Bowers, a really, really good tight end prospect. You could go grab another receiver, have Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and, I don't know, Brian Thomas, Adonai Mitchell, something like that. I don't know. But you have at least eliminated some of the desperation from the draft, and that's a good place to be. You don't have to go for, one position, even if you're far over drafting. You can take what is the best position available. The Philadelphia Eagles, they have been in a tough offseason, and it's just a rough spot. However, they've made some good moves. Saquon Barkley, solid deal. Landon Dickerson, heck of a deal. Bryce Huff, I think he's a little overpaid. He hasn't really done a whole lot himself. We've got yet to see. It's okay. Devin White could be a solid deal, but I like this C.J. Gardner-Johnson deal. They lost the year he was there. High impact player, very impactful, very helpful. He leaves, they instantly drop off on their defense in their secondary. He is a playmaker. $11 million a year, and this is a deal they should have done last year. They didn't. Now they've seen why they should have. They bring him back. No harm, no foul. He's an Eagle. He's where he's supposed to be. That's a good deal. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they've had a heck of an offseason. They get Justin Fields in a trade, and I don't like Justin Fields at all. I'm not a Justin Fields fan, and I'm a Steelers fan, so this stinks. Except for the fact that we only give up a sixth. I'll take it. Then, you sign Patrick Queen. I hated that deal at first because we're signing a linebacker to a $16 million a year deal who's had one good season. But then you only look at it and you're guaranteeing him $13 million. That's solid. Then you get Mr. Unlimited. The Moonball. Russell Wilson. I don't know why he's not here. But Russell Wilson. You could also argue Arthur Smith, bringing him in. That's really good. But Russell Wilson, I don't care what you think about him now. You cannot tell me he is not a starter. If you think Justin Fields is a starter, Russell Wilson is certainly a starter. This guy had success in a high-level defense, strong running game in Seattle. Guess what the Steelers have right now? A high-level defense, strong running game, an improving running game, bringing in a scheme like Arthur Smith. Who's to say Russ can't be a back-end top 10, top 15 quarterback? I think that's definitely possible. And the best part is you're paying him $1 million. You cannot beat that. You cannot beat that. That is simply better than anything else. You cannot beat it. The San Francisco 49ers, I don't know. Nothing really great here. Leonard Floyd is a really solid addition, though, mainly because you're getting a guy who's going to replace somebody you miss in Chase Young, but you're doing it for less money, and he's probably more reliable than Chase Young. That's a really solid deal. Yeah, it's partially because of the age, $10 million versus $13 million, but whatever. The Seattle Seahawks, I like a few moves they've done, namely releasing Jamal Adams. That's a good one. Noah Fant at 2 years, $21 million is a bit, whatever. This deal's a bit, whatever. George Fant's a solid deal. I like Jerome Baker. They swap, basically, them and the Dolphins swap Jerome Baker for, Jordan Brooks. That's okay. But Sam Howell, getting a potential quarterback of the future, this guy played 1 year and looked really good in terms of his arm, in terms of his footwork, his mechanics. He just had a terrible situation. A senile head coach, an awful defense. Yeah, his receivers are pretty good, but his line stunk. There was a lot to be desired there. He played well in spurts. You've seen him be good. You've seen him probably do more with his arm than Justin Fields has done with his arm in 3 years. I think Sam Howell could be the future of this Seahawks team. I think you could potentially move off Geno this year because of Sam Howell. I think that is a possible situation. How likely? Not sure, but definitely possible. Either way, Tampa Bay, I think Mike Evans, getting him at that number, only about $20 million a year, is really, really, really good. And it also adds in the fact that I don't think you get Baker Mayfield back if you don't bring in Mike Evans again. If Mike Evans leaves, why does Baker want to come back? I don't know. I don't think he does. That's the thing. So I say Mike Evans, bringing him back with the multiplicity of things that affects, is a huge deal. The Tennessee Titans, not this one. Not at all. Calvin Ridley, I don't think that deal is good at all. Not sure what else to say. It's not good. Lloyd Cushenberry, very solid center. Didn't stay healthy. We're seeing about that. Tony Pollard's decent. $8 million a year. The only thing is, I think him and Tyjae Spears are very similar. And Tony Pollard wasn't an RB1 last year at all. He's not an RB1, period. He's an RB2. So, if you're bringing in two of the same guy, why are you paying him this much? I don't know. I think probably their best deal. You could argue it's bringing in the new head coach they did. I don't remember his name. The Bengals OC, whatever that is. I'm blanking right now. It's Brian something. But either way, this guy is going to bring in a new culture to this team. I don't think you should have fired Vrabel, but maybe they're trying to catch up with the times. And this guy is very, very offensive focused, unlike Vrabel, and a very modern NFL focus, pass heavy. That's why you bring in Tony Pollard. He's a good receiving back. Either way, questionable somewhat deal. However, I'm not the most upset about it. Washington Commanders, our final team. This is a tough one. They've done a ton. They have signed all of these guys. And these two, and these three. That's a lot. A lot. Bringing over a lot of Cowboys, if you can't tell. All three of these guys, not Frankie Louvu. All of these are Cowboys, bringing over from Dan Quinn. One interesting point. Marcus Mariota being signed as their quarterback for now. He's probably going to be their backup quarterback. Usually you want your backup to be very similar to your starter. If they have the number 2 pick, that kind of points to them drafting Jaden Daniels, in my opinion. We'll see about that. Honestly, though, I think Austin Eckler, for the number they got him, it could be really, really good. Yes, he had a very bad year last year. However, he could be a quarterback's best friend. The check down ability, the pass catching, the running. When he's healthy, when he's on, he can be very, very good. Now, is his career just shot at this point? Maybe. But if you get even a decent Austin Eckler for $5 million a year, that's really, really good. I think that's a very solid deal for them. Not upset about it at all. Either way, let me know what you think about these teams and their pickups this offseason. Let me know what you think is the best for your favorite team. Also, don't forget to check out that jersey giveaway, and I will see y'all in the next video.